Hello, Crusters. It's Monday evening. It's about 5:30, quarter to 6. Beautiful sunset today. And I'm here on the boat and still working on this electrical issue. I have two lights. I know that I've told you there's a galley under the sink, over the sink under the cabinet light, and then there's a galley dome light that sits above the refrigerator that doesn't seem to have power. My original assumption was that the power was fed through a twisted pair from the head, which is right directly behind the galley. I had disconnected those wires, and I pulled the twisted pair apart, and I had only left the two powered wires exposed. I'd cut the others back. So I thought, well, maybe that was the problem. So I spliced two new wire segments in there and reconnected the twisted pair, and no joy. Couldn't get any power in the, I didn't see any power in the wires that are under the counter over the sink, or to the actual fixture that I have installed over the refrigerator. Tried various combinations, to no avail. Now, is it possible that my splice isn't getting the power is not going, is not getting into the wire because of the splice? Maybe there's a problem there. It's possible. Doubt it. I soldered that splice in place. I seriously doubt that that's the issue. But if all else fails, I probably will have to cut that away and resplice it or join it in some other way. I don't know. I'm perplexed, and I want the light under the sink. Excuse me, over the sink under the cabinet, and the light over the refrigerator to work. I don't want to just say, okay, well, can't figure this one out. Oh well. No, I don't want to do that. I want it to work. One of the things I can do is I can test some wires in the aft cabin to see if the lights that are going back there are actually functioning, getting power. They may be, or they may not be. I don't know. If they're not, then it's got to have something to do with the circuit, and that still leads me back to that twisted pair every time. Trying to recall if I've seen that same setup elsewhere in the boat, where they had a twisted pair to sort of like daisy chain some lights together, but I can't recall having seen any. I think this is the only place that I've seen that, is in the aft head and there in the galley. So I don't know. So anyway, what are we going to be doing today? Well, I'm going to do some more testing on the other lights in the aft cabin, the wires where the other lights will go, to see if at least they're charged, at least if they're hot, if they're getting voltage. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to take out some of the hosing for the aft head tonight, see how far I get. I may have to cut a lot of that away because it's very rigid hosing, and it's very difficult to move it back and forth in the tight spaces. But anyway, that's what we're up to today, or tonight. I've only got a couple hours, and then I have to go. So I need to get busy. So I'll show you what I'm doing as I get to it. Okay, so I figured it out as far as what this twisted pair was actually feeding. And so we're going to go into this head here. It's very dark in here. Let me see if I can get some light. All right, so here's the twisted pair. There's a pair of positive wires here that are twisted together into a butt connector. This is a heat shrink sleeve that I've placed over the butt connector, and this is a twisted pair of ground wires to this butt, over in this butt connector, which I've also put a heat shrink sleeve on. So, and then on the other end of this butt connector, the light for this head will attach, and then I'll connect that. I'll connect that up. I have to build a bit of a frame here for the light to sit on, so I can hide these connectors. I have to cut out a part of this trim probably. But anyway, so I've been trying to figure out why these twisted pairs were here, and I thought that these twisted pairs powered the light in the galley and over the fridge, because hey, you know, they didn't have any power. But today I decided to test in the aft cabin here. There are a couple of spots. I can see those wires right over there that are hanging down right there. And there's another set like that on the other side of the bed, on the other side of the cabin, just like that. So I decided to go ahead and run a test on those. And the ones over there on the other side of the cabin were hot. These were not. So I was like, oh wait. So I twisted the pairs together in the head here. And when I did that, I tested this group of wires over here once again, and voila, they were then hot. They were carrying 13 volts. So that's what this twisted pair was powering. And I don't think they had anything to do with this group of wires that are out here under the sink here. So those wires, I don't. And of course, there's 2 positive and 2 negative wires there. So same thing, 2 twisted pairs, 2 positives together, 2 negatives together, but none of them have power right now. So it doesn't even really matter, because none of them are energized, no matter what I do. And I've double checked the breaker panel, and there's not another switch. I'm not missing a switch. That just doesn't compute to me. I don't know. At least one of those pairs should be getting power. So I don't know what's the story. Nothing has really changed. I just disconnected the light. It was working before I disconnected. All I did was disconnect it. And now it seems to have no power. So, I don't know. It's a conundrum. And I can't get this light here to power. And it doesn't have, I mean, it's a normal configuration. But there's no DC, there's no power to this. Even though the circuit's energized, there's no power. So I'm having I think that this one probably has something to do with these under here. But there's a power source to these that I can't seem to locate. So that's where I'm at. I spent an inordinate amount of time dealing with this.